wisdom to me is knowing that you don't know, right?
Mm.
Understanding that you don't know everything. And wisdom comes from listening to other people, listening to what they really say, and being in tune with who they are. And wisdom comes from your life experiences, you know. But you don't have to experience everything to. You don't have to have somebody. You don't have to have somebody tell you don't touch the stove if you can see the stove is hot, you know. But wisdom comes from learning to listen to people when they say, Howard, the stove might be hot. Be careful. And so wisdom is living a life full of curiosity, willing to learn, willing to grow, and understanding that you don't have all the answers.
So, you know, I was having a bad day, and I think we're always trying to bring ourselves back into balance. And so I was exhausted from homeschooling. I was exhausted from the news on the media. Like everything felt like it was falling apart. And then I looked at this book and I saw this lady set a world record for doing something in the Alps. And I'm like, you know what? If I could set a world record, then I could bring us out of this despair and into a place of hope and opportunity. And so what would that look like, right? Like that, like I just felt like we needed momentum on the other side to bring us back to balance. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just know like that was a feeling that I had. I also had a feeling where I have children. My children don't like to read regular books. I wish they did. They didn't, but they love to read Guinness World Record books. Who had the longest fingernails, who grew the biggest pumpkin, how many hot dogs somebody ate in a minute. Like that was exciting to them, right? So for me, I'm like, oh, it would be so fun to be in a book that my children love to read. Like it just felt like a full circle moment. So like it was just this combination of feelings, thoughts, experiences that came together, and it started as like silly concept. And then it became real because I allowed it to. I leaned into it.
Wow. Not only that they read the Guinness book, but now they have their moms on the list also, right? And it's becoming something that they will be so proud to carry for the rest of their lives. And it becoming the seed of something that inspiring them to do for their own. Maybe one day they will each will have their own names on that world record book. Who knows, right, Jenn?
Right. Like here's the thing, like our kids are watching us.
Yes.
And so we need to demonstrate to them what a happy, fulfilled life looks like. Because when we demonstrate it to them, then they know it's possible for themselves. It might look different than mine because we're different people and have different skills and different experiences, but it's possible. It just has to show up for what's possible for them. So for me, it was very important to demonstrate, like, this got me excited. It got me like motivated. It required discipline and training and sacrifice and commitment. But when we combine all those things and achieve something, that feels so good. And I want them to have that feeling. And for them to have that feeling, they have to see how I have that feeling so that they can learn where they can find it for themselves.
I think the leader has to know what their great work is. We think that we have to just acquire great work from other people, but it's like, we don't have to do Elon Musk's great work. We don't have to do Jeff Bezos' great work. Sometimes it feels that way when you go to work at a company. You have to sign on to their vision statement, and like that has to become your goal in life. But you're there for a reason. Like you have something that lights you up from the inside. How can you find a place for that in whatever environment you're in? And if it doesn't fit that environment, how can you find another environment where it does fit? And then once you're in an environment where you feel like I can be who I really am, then you have to respect the fact that if you have a light inside of you, then every member of your team has a light inside of them. How can you then, there's a certain set of skills that are helping other people recognize what their great work is and starting to piece the puzzle together so that everybody is bringing their interests, their passion, their hopes for the future, and their, you know, their curiosities, all the things that we know make intrinsic motivation. How can we bring those onto the team? Then the leaders have to develop the skills to nurture everybody's great work, including their own, and then have these sort of collaboration skills that we talk about in chapter 7 of the book, which are like, you have to both know who you are and clearly communicate that while also staying open to other people's ideas. They're all these sort of two-sided skill sets. You have to be able to navigate conflict and repair conflict, repair after conflict. Like, there are these skills that go into actual authentic connection when if that's the kind of team that you're trying to build. And everybody agrees that those are the kinds of teams that we want to build. Teams where people feel safe, where innovation can happen, where the leader is respected, and where like good ideas don't get squashed because you're afraid of getting in trouble. Like, we know that that's the kind of team we want to build. I think great work does play a part. Understanding great work in yourself and others does play a part in developing teams like that.
Well, this is where the neuroscience comes in really handy, because I have learned the different areas of my brain that I can use in better ways through the neuroscience. For example, I now know that if I take on too much, and if there's too much stimulation, the stress curve and the impact on my goal direction, empathy, clarity, memory, all the executive functions from the prefrontal cortex, the more I take on, the more the capabilities will be impaired. So I have learned to stay in this zone of stimulation and stress, to not go over the curve where it becomes so much that I can't think clearly anymore. So the neuroscience has really helped me understand my thinking and where it gets to be a challenge and why. And I think that is the incredible benefit of learning how the brain works, because we suddenly begin to understand why we do the things we do, and why some of the things work and why some of the things don't work, because it is related to neuroscience.
Wow.
And so, so I've learned to not overstimulate myself so that I don't lose, my executive function capabilities. But I've also learned that, I can't keep everything in here. And so, there's another sort of researcher, her name is Annie Murphy Paul. If you get a chance to get her book, The Extended Mind. The Extended Mind, Annie Murphy Paul.
Okay.
It's a very, very good book that helps us understand that in modern times, our brain can't keep that stuff in here anymore. We've just way overextended our capabilities to think clearly. And so the extended mind is the philosophy that we need to offload what's in here into other areas. And so having a to-do list, a vision board, a whiteboard where you can move things around, things that become visual, help us offload what's in here in terms of thoughts.
Wow. And
frees up space. So I have learned to offload so that I only keep in here what I need in this moment.
Wow. And that will happen.
So that I don't get distracted about the next thing. And it's like, that's offloaded already. The next thing is offloaded. It's already in a file. It's on my calendar. It's on my to-do list. It's on a sticky note. It's in a reminder. So that's already handled. So my brain doesn't have to hold that now in here while I'm talking to you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
So that book is mind-blowing, it's fabulous, it's extremely well written, lots of stories, and not sort of so scientific that, you know, she'll lose the reader, but it's I can highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Annie Murphy Paul, right? And the book
Annie Murphy Paul,
and the
yes.
book, The Extended Mind.
The Extended Mind,
I will
yes.
definitely look forward to that book, and I also look forward to contact her and send your message to her. You were the one who introduced me to the
Yes,
to her
you
work.
can tell her that you can tell her there's a fan club out there in the coaching world that she might not be aware of, and we love her work and her research, and we use it all the time in coaching. So
Wow.
if you get to talk to her, you know, you can say there's a big group of people out there that love your work.
We talk to the great leaders and great people like you, and we ask the question like, how have you been helping yourself to expand thinking?
Mm. For me, I've always, as I mentioned earlier, it's through people. People help me expand my thinking. And by the way, and so does AI. I just treat AI like a person. And so I ask it questions and I have conversations with it. You know, I can have an hour-long conversation with AI about a topic that I learned from. And I will also do that with a person. I recently was at this camp, and I met the gentleman who was the co-founder of Instagram. And I just, you know, got into a deep conversation with him about a number of things, and I learned so much. So to me, my opportunity for learning and thinking is through people and AI now.
Wow.
But you got to be curious. You've got to ask good questions.
Wow.
You may take it as me turning it on its head, but it is listening to younger people because they see things differently, and they see things differently for a reason. And I think that sometimes the older generations don't pay enough attention to why it's seen differently, and seeing word differently, how can we move forward faster? How can we move forward with more grace, perhaps? And then, to your point, never, ever, ever dismiss the wisdom of our seniors. You laugh, but I remember my grandpa and grandma, I told you, on the farm. To this day, I know what herbs to use for healing certain things. Just because they told me. They don't teach you that at school, right? And that's, and it's not just the wisdom of curing something when you're in a field. It's the wisdom of appreciating and respecting the wisdom of our elders.
Wow.
And I think that's very important.
Beautiful.